what planet were the writers of the Split Enz hit song History Never Repeats? No matter how catchy the tune, or it's simply untrue. Hello, I'm Mike Bain from Christian Voice New Zealand. But right off the bat, I think the song was great. And as history shows, it was another, hit from a very talented group. But I'm not here to discuss Split Enz or delve into music anthologies. Today I want to talk about the concept of history. Let me ask you, how do you think we get our history? Well, for Maori, history is shared and passed down orally from generation to generation. But for others like me, we rely on historical records from things like newspapers, documentations, diaries, photographs, and even film archives. Now, I worked as a journalist for many years, reporting on events, people, and providing a factual, concise record of what was happening on any given day. I told the stories about the people involved, and I gave insights into the culture of the country at that time. And as habit would have it, I was often displeased my editor. I was often assigned to write historical features, working with old newspaper copies to write about the past events and people. Those newspapers, though, they might have been tomorrow's fish and chip wrappers, but they were historical documents, records of what had transpired before my time. Many people have written books using this particular method, incorporating diaries and stories handed down from the past, sometimes even eyewitness testimony. Split Enz claimed history never repeats, while others say, we should learn from history to ensure it doesn't repeat. But what is history really? It's an account of one person's understanding or a version of events which can be manipulated to fit their beliefs. I've spoken about this before. History is essentially a version of someone's belief at the same time, which may change as they reflect and reconsider. For example, the interpretation of the 9/11 attack that we saw in the World Trade Center was recorded from many perspectives. There are numerous accounts from the West about the murder of over 3,000 innocents, and equally, there are accounts from the Islamic nations about the deaths of infidels and the martyrdom of those who executed the event. Well, today our news and historical reports are so diverse and influenced by agendas: political, religious, racial, environmental, gender-related, and there's many more. Even stories handed down from previous generations, they can be inaccurate, shaped by the perspectives of those who told them. Let me give you an example. My family didn't talk to an aunt for a long time over a past incident. They fell out. We missed out, though, on the richness of knowing her because of an inaccurate historical fact. So why does history repeat itself? It's a flawed assumption, but we should learn from history, even if it is imperfect, to prevent bad things from happening again. However, in today's culture, individuals and groups often want history rewritten to suit their current narratives. Now, the New Zealand government, like many others, has held inquiries and apologised for past abuses in government and faith-based care facilities, saying such things should never have happened. Such things should never have happened. How many times have you heard that? The world has said similar things about war, apartheid, slavery, and even genocide. Knowing the history of these atrocities, were Split Enz right that history never repeats? Or were those who said that we should learn from history correct? Well, the fact that history repeats itself time and time again proves them both wrong. 2 centuries ago, the Roman Empire on its path to glory seized areas including Judea. Now, early history was documented by a guy called Josephus, whose accounts are considered independent records of the players and politics of his time. Josephus wrote about a man who was a victim of a racial and religious hatred. He was sentenced to death, tortured and crucified. You know who I'm talking about. Yeah, you're right, Jesus Christ, whose story is at the heart of the Bible, based on eyewitness interpretations. Now, while no Christian has ever been killed in exactly the same manner of Christ, many followers have suffered brutal deaths. History in this case and others continues to repeat itself, sometimes more brutally and unimaginable. We often forget the past despite agreeing with our lips that we won't repeat these actions. And the notion that one person's terrorist is another's freedom fighter complicates things even further. In conclusion, humanity has a rich tapestry of history recorded in newspapers, preserved on film and from first-hand accounts. Yep, look, we can learn from it. I mentioned Josephus earlier, whose accounts were backed by other resources, whether they were from doctors, fishermen, tax collectors, or even someone who fell off his horse. The history of God's Word has remained intact. It's true, we can learn from history and even rewrite it, but at the end of the day, we need to learn from the truth. Building our lives on a foundation of truth is essential, don't you think? At Christian Voice New Zealand, we view today's culture through the lens of the Bible because we believe its historical account of humankind is accurate, and therefore we accept its prophecy for the future of mankind as being accurate. Josephus' works are the chief source next to the Bible for the history and the antiquity of ancient Israel, and it provides a significant and independent biblical account of such figures as Pontius Pilate, Herod the Great, John the Baptist, James, the brother of Jesus, and of course, Jesus of Nazareth. So, really, you do have to ask, what planet were split ends on when they said that history never repeats?